Hello, hello, hello. We're here. So, we started our talk about AI in the keynotes, right? So we went and talked at everything at a very high level. Well, this is going to be the culmination of everything we've talked about so far this IT Nation. So, we've heard about things like Sidekick, things like, RPAs, automation, right? That hyper automation front. Well, what we're going to be doing now is the culmination and the end of this. This is going to be our last session, I believe, this IT Nation on AI. So, without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and bring out the great Jake Varghese, Raghu Bangula, and Kyle Jackson.
All right, can you hear me all the way back there? Is that an echo in the room? Okay, well, hey, first and foremost, let me thank everyone for attending IT Nation Connect. I hope it's been a good session. George, what do you think? Was it a good session? Loved it. That was the resounding loved it from George, so really appreciate it. And as Will started to mention, we're deep into artificial intelligence and machine learning here at ConnectWise. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to end this track that consisted of 6 distinct sessions that started all the way back on the first day when Jason McGee introduced artificial intelligence and introduced ConnectWise Sidekick into our collective vernacular. In addition to talking about all the work that we're doing from an RPA perspective and a workflow perspective, et cetera. And so I couldn't think of 3 better people. Just wondering, wait, I see 2 more people up here. All right, I'll tell you where that missing person is and why that empty seat is there in just a moment. I couldn't think of 3 better people to have a discussion around a deep dive for artificial intelligence, right? So I wanted to introduce Kyle Jackson, who's, perfectly in time. There you go. There you go. Just in time, Mr. Jeff Bishop. And just because he came in last, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce him first. Jeff Bishop, I think he is well known to pretty much everyone in the IT Nation community. Jeff Bishop is the founder and creator of Screen Connect,
I'm not
co-founder and creator for Screen Connect, one of the most beloved products here at ConnectWise. And in addition to that, these days, he's also the EVP and GM of ASIO, the revolutionary hyperscale platform purpose-built for MSPs. And sitting next to Jeff Bishop is our incredible CTO, Raghu Bangula. And I keep telling everyone that since Raghu has joined ConnectWise, there is a distinct energy within this organization. His passion, the speed at which he moves is just so palpable, and a lot of the creations that you witnessed this week, Raghu has an imprint directly, in addition to the amazing engineering team that he leads. And to my right is my good friend, Mr. Kyle Jackson, who is the Director of Innovation here at ConnectWise. So we have an august crew, and we can't wait to get into the deep dive. So prior to doing that, I just wanted to do one thing, right? In order to understand where we're going, we have to take a moment to understand where did we come from, right? Jason introduced the notion of the 4th Industrial Revolution. I know it's like, wait a second, gosh, is he going to go do that thing? Just bear with me for just a moment, okay? You know that we are in the middle of the 4th Industrial Revolution, and I just wanted to take a moment to characterize what it means. What does that actually mean? Yes, you've studied it back in school, but what does that actually mean? What are some of the common patterns that we witness, right? Where if we were back in the 1800s as we were going through this process, the first one is whenever an industrial revolution happens, right? It is driven by the need for efficiency. We all, as human beings, want to be faster, we want to be better, and we want to do things in a more cost-effective way. That is a common characteristic. The second thing is, whenever you're in the middle of this industrial revolution, what you have to do is that the scope of change that happens is absolutely enormous. It is way beyond our realm of imagination. The third thing is, when a revolution of this magnitude happens, you cannot fathom the types of changes that are going to happen. Why? Because you're in the middle of the revolution. You can only see the change once, let's say the wave is crested. And the final thing that I wanted to mention is that with every revolution, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. All right, so let's get into that in just a moment. Let's take a small trip down memory lane. And I promise I'm going to walk through this really quick. Imagine all of us were back in the 18th century, let's say around the mid-1700s. And we were an agrarian population. We were. That's where we came from. Then we figured out how to heat up water and get steam. And from steam became energy. And as a result of that was our very first industrial revolution that brought about the factory. We went from agrarian to working in factories. But what was unique is it was still dependent on human labor. So it was a very intense period. Now, from there, we came to the place where gasoline engines, you got airplanes, and the assembly line came about. So the factory took its next logical step, right? So an incredible move, an incredible disruption. Everyone knows the quote that's been attributed to Henry Ford, which is he can have the Model T in any color that you like, as long as it's black, right? It's the assembly line concept. The next one is, and I personally, I'm a technology guy, so I love this particular revolution, is when the semiconductor was involved. And remember, famously, one of the CEOs of the pretty large companies of that era said that the total addressable market for computers at that time was about 5, right? Because they're talking about mainframes. There's no way that that person could have fathomed what's going to happen, right? And the final bit is what we're going to talk about today. We are in the midst of a revolution of that magnitude. I'll tell you, we're still trying to fathom the extent of what that revolution is going to be like. Mark my words. This is that moment. You will look back upon this time with fondness because of the amazing changes that we're going to see in our lifetime. In our lifetime. Okay, so with that, let's go and talk about some of the players. So how many folks in the audience know about Smith Corona? All right, you sir in the middle. What does Smith Corona do? Made typewriters. Perhaps I'm actually using that in the past tense to make a point. And now the interesting thing about Smith Corona is sometimes, the history gets written by the winners. That's what happens. You look at it over and over again. Smith Corona was just absolutely a beast in its era. What most people don't know is that they had a lot of patents. So for example, they had the patent for not only for the typewriter, but they had the patent for the word processor. They had an opportunity to partner with Acer as the computing revolution was building on. They said, wait a second, I'm not going to cannibalize my existing operation. So they went ahead and nixed that particular contract, right? So history is not a fan of folks that don't adjust rapidly. And then we have another company by the name of Microsoft. I had the privilege of starting my career with Microsoft up in Redmond, Washington. And I've had an opportunity to witness upfront just the changes that amazing company has been through, right? And just wanted to tell you a little bit about Microsoft and how they leapt ahead of this scenario while Smith Corona fell behind. Okay, so we think about Microsoft, we think about the amazing things that Satya and his team have done over in Redmond, and we think, wait a second, so they required a partner as well? And I started my career working on the spell checker and the grammar checker in Microsoft Office. So all those red squiggly lines that bother you forever, yes, you can thank my team and I for enabling that. And the funny thing is, it actually used language models way back in the day. Those were not large language models because we had to actually ship the dictionary with each and every copy of Microsoft that we sold. I think I'm seriously dating myself, but I still remember floppy disks and CDs. Yes, that's right. Who wants to deploy 24 floppy disks to get Office working? I don't. Okay, okay, so with that, here's what happened. Microsoft has made serious commitments into machine learning and AI. Way back in the day, we went and acquired, not we personally, Bill and team, went and acquired a massive team of thinkers from Stanford and from Carnegie Mellon, brought them into Microsoft Research, spent time on natural language, on adaptive user interfaces, and to speech recognition. And that's been included in all their products. Some of you might have used Cortana. You may like it or not. But they, too, needed a great partner to leap ahead. So each and everything that they did from a co-pilot perspective came about as a result of the magnificent partnership that they forged with OpenAI in 2017. Now, that is prescient of them to have made that partnership, because as a result of the work that they did with OpenAI, they are able to leapfrog the competition. They had a many-a-year advantage in incorporating AI deep into the bowels of each and every product that Microsoft sells. So that is a key topic that I want you to remember is even each and every one of you runs a successful business, but you still need a strong partner, a partner that will help you navigate this massive, massive disruption that we're in the middle of. So with that, I wanted to just make one point before I hand it off to my buddy Kyle, who can talk about the next topic in so much more authority than I can, which is we know you and we know this industry better than anyone. Why? Because we've been here for 4+ decades, and we started our career out as an MSP. And what we've taken is we've taken that collective knowledge and we built this AI platform to work best in this industry. It is purpose-built for the TSP industry. So with that, Kyle.
Thanks, Jake. So we know you. I can imagine that there's some of you in here who have been with ConnectWise longer than I have, but not by much. The reality is we understand you. A little bit about me, I started my career in help desk, right? I know that user is a 4-letter word for a reason, right? Because when they come call in, right, I want to use other 4-letter words, right? But the point is, like, there are so many things that you go through. Any good business that is going to drive forward and be successful has to know their clients. And ConnectWise, as Jake mentioned, we have 40+ years of engaging and understanding what's going on in your landscape. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about this because I think this makes ConnectWise special, or this makes us super cool, or like this is the secret sauce. But the reality is in order for us to do our jobs, in order for us to build products that align to your needs, we have to know you. So a little bit about that, right? We are obviously 100% MSP focused. And as a result of us getting to know you, we've started implementing things that are a benefit. Stuff like our partner program that has 1,200 plus partners in it. And those partners who are engaged in it have a 40% increase in their cyber growth programs. So the reality is understanding and knowing what our partners need really helps us drive down. It's really gets into our DNA, drives down exactly what we've built today. Part of knowing you is not only just the fact that we get to engage in conversations with you, but we also have this beautiful thing of data, right? And one of those data points is industry benchmarking, through Service Leadership Index. That is a powerful component of the fact that we get to understand through your movement and motion, even if it is anonymized data, we get to understand the complexities, right? We get to see trends. We get to understand the movement of how things are fitting together. And that is a very powerful component for someone like us to be able to use that and adjust. So the best of the best, we get to know what the best of the best are doing, right? And not only that, but we get those insights and get to turn around and use those insights and deliver them back into the product. And that's what's led us here. So the point here is we listen. We listen a lot. Every good business has to have excellent listening posts, opportunities to engage in understanding and learning from your clients. I mean, you can take the list in front of you. We have all these types of events like we're in now, where we're engaged in meaningful one-on-one conversation or group conversation with the user groups, focus groups, peer groups, advisory councils, our executive cohorts. Tony, it was 1,000 a month, 1,000 a month meetings where our executives are engaged in 1,000+ conversations with partners. All of that learning and engaging of understanding from you has led us to really gaze out into the future with that knowledge of what you're dealing with, what's troubling you, and really drive us to be in front of seismic shifts. And this whole point is driving us to this slide right here. We are here to help you guys embrace the AI and hyper-automation, right? Because that is the next big shift. And not only is it the next industrial revolution, honestly, if you go back and look at each one of those industrial revolutions, right? The time at which the time to impact got shorter and shorter as the technology got greater. The catalyst that's going to drive AI is going to force the impact to immediate feel, as in where I or even your users who are non-technical, is going to be quick. You want proof? Here's some social proof. I'm sitting at a Mexican restaurant the other day, and two 65, 75, maybe 85-year-old ladies, let's say full white hair, so we're talking about ChatGPT. Just themselves, they weren't entertaining anyone else, they were just themselves talking about ChatGPT. So, I mean, just, if that's not a picture of relevance here, it is absolutely having it. And here at ConnectWise, we're focused on that future, and we're focused on that future for...
Kyle, are you sure they weren't talking about Sidekick?
No, well...
Just wanted to make sure.
It was, if they were, it was pre-release, and I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them. All right, so here's a call to action right here in the middle of the slide. We are actually kicking off an AI advisory council. One of those listening posts that we engage with is with our advisory council. We have several of them, and they are very critical for us engaging, like, hey, are we right? Are we aligned with the right goals here? You keep us honest. If you have interest, please scan the QR code or send that email, an email to ai@connectwise.com. We would definitely want to hear from you in that. So say all that to say, we got you. We know what you're dealing with, and this is why we built it. Let's go ahead and jump into what we actually built. Raghu, Jeff?
Oh, I get to drive. Okay, let's do it. And Jake, later, I'm going to tell you the story about when I watched somebody rolling a cart of punch cards down a hallway.
I promise that was not me.
Spilling the whole thing on the floor.
It's not me.
So we can figure out who's older later when we go through that. All right, so we want to get a little bit more tactical right now and operational. A lot of you have talked to Jake and Raghu and myself. We're going, okay, great. You talked a little bit about it. You showed us some of the UI of Sidekick, showed us how it gets tied into Teams and some of the collaboration tools. But how's it going to go forward? What's it going to look like in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? How are you protecting our data? How do I make sure that some other MSP somewhere here in the room isn't going to go do a search for something and find one of my customers' data or some information that I don't want out there? How is ConnectWise setting this all up from a hierarchical perspective to give us the power of AI, but also to make sure that we stay secured and everything gets locked down? That's why we bring the really smart guy out here on stage, along with the rest of us to explain all that. But we're going to go through and show you some of the things that we're doing. So ConnectWise Sidekick is purpose-built to be that hero along beside you. Raghu, what else do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I think as Kyle has talked about a few minutes ago, like we know you. I think we are not trying to build a generic model which kind of caters to everyone, right? So we are not necessarily trying to go after like insurance, trying to go after like banking. I think what we are focused on is one thing, like which is technology, TSPs and MSPs, right? So with the benchmarking data, what we have, with activity, what you do, we can derive patterns. So what we have been able to do, I think which you're going to walk through a little bit more, in future slides, is we have been able to purpose build it for, right? So that's where we come in, right? So what is that? We are different compared to any others in the industry. We are purpose built for MSP. We are the first purpose built one for MSPs, right? So again, if you want to go to the next slide, Jeff.
Let's do it. So what you're seeing up here is I communicate with clients in a lot of different ways. So over the first 2 days during the keynotes, Jake was gracious enough to go through some of the real demos. Thank you for that and being very brave. But going through it, you got to see a chat bot that was sitting inside of the PSA. You got to see Sidekick sitting inside of Teams. Sidekick's been around for 5, 6, 7, 8 months now. We actually launched it as part of RMM, and it was a PowerShell script creation, same back end. But people are interfacing with this AI in lots of different ways and may not recognize it. We are already starting to put this into mobile apps. We're putting it into the different product lines, into collaboration tools, end user portals. It's not just constrained to some of the demos that you saw the other day. It is going to start to pop up in lots of different places. And we're doing that because we're structuring it with a middleware in the back end. Maybe Raghu can explain how that's working.
Yeah, I think this is where the power of Azure comes in. As you can see the Mr. Azure here. So the man behind the vision. So I think Azure was designed ground up to be a mobile first, to be a API first platform. So it also supports ability to deal with conversational AI protocols. So we are utilizing the power of Azure here. So which means anything we build on AI, anything we build into Sidekick will be available through all the channels. So that's the beauty of the platform, what we have done. And this is advantage of going on Azure, right? So I think people ask me, what is that? What is that I'm going to get on going to Azure, right? So this is the advantage of going to Azure. You can take the benefits of the entire platform.
All right. So then we start talking about, I need fewer solutions, not more. How do we get this done? We really try to emphasize why we started moving to AZO in the first place, that centralized data store, that centralized automation, that centralized user experience. Yes, every single company out on that showroom floor and all the rest of them that you interface with is going to put AI into their products if they haven't already. They're going to show up. And those AI models are going to do an amazing job of looking at that data set, at that product, and surfacing up insights and ideas. But what we wanted to make sure that we were doing here at ConnectWise is not giving you just the insights for that one data store or that one product or that one service. We wanted to make sure it would span across all of the products, all of the services, in ways to bring meaningful insights and AI and automation up to you across the platform. Raghu, how are we accomplishing this and going forward?
Yeah, I think our Azure platform and our Sidekick have been built on microservices, true to its sense. So they have been built ground up with the newest technology available there. And as you can see, being on Azure, again, you're going to hear this term again and again. So being on Azure, some of these things come naturally for us, right? So the things what we are doing, like we have ability for us to kind of drive them across the products. So as Jeff mentioned, I think 8 months ago, we have released scripting in PowerShell scripting automation in Automate and RMM. Now, as you have seen, as Jake has showed in the keynotes, he was able to take the same technology and utilize it in PSA. So this is the advantage of the platform. So what we would be doing, or what we have an ability to do is, we build it once and we can utilize it across all these products. So that's one aspect of it. Second thing is, in many cases, you might be using multiple products with us, right? So you might be on RMM and a PSA, or RMM and a BCDR customer. In that case, we can look at your patterns across these products. So because in many cases, let's say who are the personas, let's say a technician. Technician would be doing various things across all these product lines. So that's where I think the power of platform comes in, because we're not necessarily limited to one product. We can go across all these products, look at the patterns, derive the patterns, and build the efficiencies there using the hyper automation, right? So that's one aspect of it. And as Jeff mentioned, right, we're going to find many vendors, pretty much it's just a matter of time. Everyone is going to be in the AI space, right? I think it's not going to be about which tool you pick. It's going to come down to which platform you're going to pick, right? So it's not going to be just about, I'm going to do this one tool for this one particular job. You can do that, but you're going to get short-term gains. In the long term, I think you would have to pick a platform, right? So it's just about that. So that's what I think what we have done is we have stepped back when all this started last year. We stepped back and say, what should be our story? How should we go to the market? How should we architect it? How should we design it? What would help our MSPs here, right? So that's why what we have decided is we're going to use Azure and make it a microservice platform for Sidekick so that we can embed it across all of our product lines.
Okay. I don't need a Swiss Army knife. I need a solution built for my business. So what do we mean by this? Raghu, why does anybody here care about Sidekick? Why don't they just all tie into ChatGPT, make a call, pull that back in? I mean, it does some pretty amazing things. Why is ChatGPT not just something that we just integrate directly in? Why are we spending all this time and money and effort to build out Sidekick and all the different models that we're putting on top of ASIO?
Excellent question, Jeff. In fact, I thought about it initially, right? What is the advantage of building anything for MSPs? I mean, there is there's good models available with ChatGPT, OpenAI. Obviously, they have the progress like crazy. There was GPT 3.0, 3.5, now 4. Now it's progressing more than that. And then you have other branches like Anthropic, Bard. You name it. Like there are so many options out there. So what is that? But they do a great job being a general purpose solution. What I mean by that is they need to cater every persona possible in the world, right? So it's not just MSPs. So they do a decent job at insurance, hospitality, finance, banking, you name it. Whereas what we had to do is we were focused on one thing, one mission, which is how to make our MSPs a hero so we can be the sidekick. So what do we need to do? So what we have tried to do is we have added a layer, I mean, which we are going to go into the, which as you are seeing here, which we have made it purpose built for MSPs. So we are training the data which is specific to you. We are focusing our models on the technology problems, like the things what you might see, right? So in this diagram, as you can see, we in many cases can use and are using foundational models from the leading providers like Azure, OpenAI, and in some cases we are building our own models too. Like some of the stuff what you have seen was sentiment was homegrown, right? So on that we are adding our functional models, being it for search, being it for recognizing patterns, being it for detecting anomalies, being it for recommending, deriving insights, summarizing it. All that is based on our own functional models built on the OpenAI. So that's where we differentiate ourselves from general purpose LLMs.
So as you're seeing up here on the behind me, you see that one little icon with a smiley face? It's called Hugging Face. Raise your hand if you're familiar with what that is. All right, I see 2 or 3 or 4 hands going up here real quick. Raghu's going to do a much better job of articulating this than I am. But what I want to make sure that everybody understands is the power of what's happening out there. It's not just Microsoft or Amazon or IBM or Salesforce that are putting out these models. There's people just like you and software companies all over the world who are taking problems and creating their own models. And then they're going out there and sharing those with the world. You might have the best model ever to help you with your invoicing or with your quoting or with documentation creation. So how do you get to take advantage of this world, this ecosystem of models that are being created out there? That's what companies like Hugging Face are bringing to the fruition for all of us. And we want to make sure that we don't miss out on that. And we make sure that give you the power of options and choice, just like what we do with integrations. Hugging Face and some of these other foundation models, maybe explain a little bit how that works?
Yeah. So there are like good models out there like Hugging Face where anyone can kind of go and build a model and we can utilize it. So now that in many cases, based on the problem statement you're looking at, I think some of them might better perform for certain use cases, like especially Hugging Face, right? So now what we have made sure is we are not necessarily tying it to one particular foundational model. We have an option to kind of pull in what makes most sense for us as an industry and what makes most sense for the problem we are trying to solve and bring it into our platform.
There you go. Again, choice, options. There's going to be things, this world is going to move really, really quick, and we want to make sure that middleware that we created can tie into that and keep you integrated. So we're talking about security and how important that is as we go forward. We're starting to put in those hierarchical models to make sure that we can protect your data and things don't get out. At ConnectWise, we want to make sure that you have a jumping off point. Some of you don't have enough tickets coming in every day, may not have enough information to build out really solid models. But overall, at an aggregate level, ConnectWise does. We have the ability to give you a jumping off point with, say, an IT Nation model. But then we also want to make sure that we are protecting your data so that nothing goes out, so that no other MSPs that are in the system can see anything that is private and restricted to you. And we're putting those in place from the ground up, architectural layer of how Sidekick is built.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something which is very near and dear to us. Our Jason McGee, our CEO, always says security is our top priority. and our top concern. We do mean by that, we do abide by that. So it is super important that whatever we do on AI, we are doing with certain principles. So starting this year, I think now probably 6 months to 8 months ago, I think, by the way, Jeff leads our AI steering committee chair. So I think he has led that, and we as a committee, which includes everyone from legal, info security, compliance, marketing, engineering and product. I think together, I think we come together and look at how we're going to develop AI at ConnectWise. So as part of that, what we did is we went and released our AI responsible use statement. So it's available on the website, so you can Google it, you can find it. So it talks about various things what we're going to abide by, like they center around data protection, transparency, reliability, collaboration, and compliance. So these are the 5 pillars we look at. Okay, but how are we implementing that? So everyone wants to know the details, right? So let's go to the next slide. So this is something which is super important. Everyone in the industry, including us and including myself, I always think about, like, when I use my phone or when I use anything, right? What kind of trace of data I'm leaving? How it's going to be used in a responsible fashion? Similarly, I know every one of you would have a concern saying that, okay, is my data used correctly? How do I know that my data is not shared with another partner? Okay, so all valid concerns, all valid reasons. So what we have tried to do is we created something called trust wrapper. So as you can see, so that is responsible, the trust wrapper is responsible to make sure that we abide by the responsible AI usage, right? So what is that? What is a trust wrapper? It is a mixture of policies, processes, in some cases principles, and beyond that, lot of code, architecture, design, which we have put to make sure that we abide by these principles. So we have made sure our APIs, the way we access the data, the way we store the data, there is a segregation among the partners, for example. So we make sure that it's compliant with all the best practices like data residency. We make sure that it's compliant with all the security protocols to make sure that it's secure. We make sure that your data is not commingled with other partners. Okay, and we are also transparent in the fact that if you look at any of the results what we show on any of the products you have used, we are clear. We tell you that where we have used the AI. So even in the Sidekick, if you use it, it tells you that I'm using AI to derive this. So that way it's very clear for you where we have used the AI, where we have not used the AI, so that you can make a choice in terms of what makes most sense for you in your case, right? So all in all, I think this is something which is very important for us. And as a company, we are very committed to make sure that we do it right and we follow all our responsible AI use statements.
I appreciate it. The data security is extremely important to us. We want to make sure that we solve those problems and we give you as full transparency as possible. And it's why I saw a lot of phones come out when we opened up that advisory board QR code a little bit earlier. We want you as partners to get involved and engage with us. We want to explain to you what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it. And then we want you to tell us where we're doing it right and where we're doing it wrong, or other things that you've seen and learned across the industry that you think would be best practices for us. All right, why is it so important for all the data to be in ASIO? What is it that ConnectWise is going to be able to do differently with ASIO than they couldn't do with all the individual products, or that maybe other partners or companies, products and companies won't be able to do?
Yeah, I think again, this is again power of the ASIO again. So this is some things which Jeff and team have thought through much before when they started ASIO, much before when the AI revolution started. So which is how do I enable the data to come into ASIO? So we live in a complex ecosystem. Many of you integrated with many tools, many vendors, many products. So in many cases, sometimes when you say automation, the automation might span across multiple tools. So how are you going to accomplish that? Or in some cases, for us to get you an efficiency, for us to kind of infer or for us to kind of train on your data, we might need data beyond just the ConnectWise data, right? So what we have with you. So in those cases, I think we have an extensibility framework with a single purpose, right? So there are multiple ways to kind of access extensibility, but the single purpose with that is to bring in the data into the platform. So what that does is, by bringing the data into the platform, we can use the data which is not necessarily from the ConnectWise products and train it and derive the trends, right? And obviously there's an opt-in. So if you chose to do that, you could do that. If you say, you know what, I don't like to do that, that's fine. So the more data, the more we can train, more we can understand your patterns. Obviously, the recommendations are going to be much more better and much more relevant. But I think that's how our architecture is designed to allow you to plug in the data sources as needed.
You know, the PSA has always been sort of the epicenter, the system of engagement, the system of record in a lot of cases for most of the MSPs out here in the community. And that has a ton of information, but it doesn't have all of the information, right? There's still a lot of information from the EDRs and the RMMs and the BDRs and the knowledge-based tools and everything else that still lives outside of the PSA. We're pulling in the information that you need to make sure you're doing your billing and your ticketing and surface the experience in a way that your technicians and your procurement and your salespeople can be as efficient as possible. But again, having that centralized data store that has everything allows us to run those models against it and start to surface things that none of us, guaranteed, not a single person in the room has thought of every single situation and scenario that these machine learning models could start to bring up and surface to us. And that's why, you know, from an ASIO perspective, it's so paramount and critical for us to make sure that we can give you that foundation to put stuff in a very easy way, and that for all the other vendors, if there's any here, that you can push information in that can also help surface that experience and those insights for the partners. All right, and all of this
Together.
completely on top of ASIO. So every aspect of what you just saw, from the security to the data layers and everything else, is in ASIO platform. It is that hyper-automation block that you're seeing there. It's the ConnectWise Sidekick, the ConnectWise RPA, the workflow engines. Yes, a few of you started asking, like, all right, are you going to put natural language processing in? Yeah, the answer is yes. Because of what ASIO is setting up and configuring for us go forward. So, any last remarks?
No, I think you said it right, Jeff. I think this is a part of the platform again. I think I get a lot of questions saying that why platform? How is this platform different than any other tool? I think this is a part of the platform. So I think we have taken the same approach for AI. So what we are building is a platform, not necessarily a tool. Even though you might interact with a Teams or a browser, but there's a broader vision behind it. It is a platform. So what it means is it has an ability for us to kind of bring in AI across the board, and that's what you would see in next 6, 9, 12 months.
All right. And for that, we'll hand it back over to Kyle.
Thanks, boss.
Appreciate it.
Go to your meeting.
Get back to the expert here.
All right. Of course, you give a bunch of engineers a microphone and some PowerPoint slides, and they're going to talk a lot, right? Let's get into the real meat of it. You've already seen it, so it's not like I'm showing you something new here, but the reality is we started with we know you, right? So as we looked at this, there were 3 personas that we were really aiming for, right? How can we solve for some value and benefits to these different individuals? I have an owner, I have a service manager, and I have a technician named Kyle. That's coincidental. It's not on purpose. If I had picked it, Kyle would have had a beard, but we'll just move on and act like this was real. Okay, so John the owner, right? John owns this MSP, right? He's got a family of 4. He's got a lot of things he's focused on, you know, in work and outside of work. Right, but you know, as far as business is concerned, he wants to ensure the success of his employees and his organization, right? And he wants to make sure that he's taking on additional clients, and he's trying to figure out how to support them and keep the whole thing afloat, right? John does a lot of swimming where he's keeping his head above water. You know that feeling, I'm sure. And he's always thinking about, you know, hey, as I'm growing this, what does this mean for me long term, and how is this going to impact valuation? Okay, that's John's persona. What does that mean? All right, we're going to flip over to a demo here real quick. So we're going to jump to my screen. All right, whenever they got it. Perfect. All right, I'm efficient. I was about to say I'm lazy. I'm not lazy. I'm efficient. So instead of, I've got Teams inside of my computer right here, but I'm not going to type. I'm going to do it from here. So what is John worried about? John wants to grow his business. So John might be focused on something like opportunity insights. You didn't see it happen because, again, I'm cheating. But here it goes, just popped up on the screen, right? Because my phone is tied to Teams, and Teams is on my computer. So it's going to go ahead and pull up open opportunity insights. What this means, right, if I had done opportunity summaries, it just would have given me a list of what those opportunities are and some basic facts about it. But insights goes deeper. Give me a little bit more information that I can dig in, get my teeth into. So John, maybe before he's walking into a meeting with his sales organization. You know, he's spending the 5 minutes of prep because he's so busy. He's spending the 5 minutes of prep looking at this, and he walks in and he has a meeting with his team, right? Very practical, very functional. All right, what else is John maybe concerned about? Well, John wants to make money, right? So he's not going to make money unless he builds people. Invoice insights. All right, there it goes on the screen. Invoice insights. Again, I could be less lazy and type it, but I'm a nerd. Invoice insights, same idea. Hey, I'm going to go have a conversation with whoever's running the books. How are we doing? Here's a quick synopsis. Hey, I'm seeing this one here, number 6, right? Has this one been taken care of? Gives me a quick synopsis, a look into what's going on. So I can focus. I don't have to go, hey, ask for that report, then consume it, take an understanding of it, and then go engage in a meaningful conversation. I can go right to number 3, right? Immediate value. All right, back to our PowerPoint real fast. The next one in our chain is Lisa. Lisa's the service manager. Poor Lisa, right? Is there a service manager in the room that can attest? Say hallelujah. Yes? Yes. Poor Lisa. I call Lisa the cat herder, right? Because nobody herds cats, because that's stupid and ridiculous. That's a dumb idea, right? Technicians are like cats. They don't want to be wrangled. They don't want to be controlled. Put a technician on a leash, what happens? They get out. So she is the cat herder. Her primary focus is ensuring that her customers have a fantastic experience because that's what her boss pays her for, right? She's worried about the CSAT scores. Are they, are the techs doing a good job, right? With ConnectWise Sidekick, we're really going to dig into supporting growth. So what is she worried about? All right, back to my screen. Sorry for the ping pong, guys, but back to my screen. All right, so she's going to be worried about the tickets. So let's just act, you know what, I'm not going to be lazy. It's just on this weird angle. I know you guys feel me, right? So I'm Lisa. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, what issues. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Kyle. Let's just go back to the menu. I should have stuck with using my voice, huh? All right, so we'll do the long way. I go to tickets. I just do a quick ticket search, right? She may be trying to understand, what a given problem is going on for a given technician or a given customer. I'm just going to drop in a date range here and give me some valid data in our not so exhaustive data demo environment. But here, I'm just going to show them all. Right, so she can flip through tickets. I could have filtered this by board. She could divide this any way she wants. Again, I'm not replacing PSA. I am not replacing PSA.
Thank you, Kyle.
Or I am not replacing PSA as the main interface for your technicians or your service manager or anybody. That still is the most efficient place for them to drive forward that. However, if I'm Lisa and I'm in a meeting and my computer's in the other room and I need to find information real fast to solve a problem, minutes add up, seconds add up, it all adds up. So we're looking, we're really driving forward, giving those efficiency in those moments back. All right, I'm gonna go quickly here because we've only got a couple minutes. All right, so same thing with Project Insights. I'm gonna learn my lesson. Project Insights. So same idea, same functional benefit. She's responsible for making sure we've got everybody moving in the right direction. Here's my Project Insights. I thought as I said it, it would just load up because it loves me, but it's still going. Can we say Wi-Fi or hotel Wi-Fi? What was the speed?
5 demos, Kyle.
What were we speeding? Okay. All right. So, hey, imagine Project Insights came up and you said, wow. Yeah. Wow.
Imagine.
Tell you what.
Thank you for having the courage to do a live demo on stage yet again, Kyle.
Project Insights. All right. If this doesn't load up, we'll move on. But the idea here is here on the fly. I don't have to run back and go look at it, go filter through the right screen, get the right browser. I got my phone in my pocket. You got your phone in your pocket? Anybody not have their phone in their pocket? right? So that's what we were aiming for. How can we drive efficiency back to where you are at the moment you're at, right, with whatever you need? Okay, all right. Hey, we want to look at Project Insights, Raghu. All right, so back to our PowerPoint, just for the sake of keeping the flow going. I promised this worked 7 minutes ago, or 70 minutes ago. All right, Kyle, beloved Kyle. God, this kid's great, right? However, when he's not great, it's terrible. But what we really want to do with Kyle is simplify his day, right? We want to make it easy for him. So I'm just going to show you, we can go back to my screen here. We know Kyle. We don't need the details on Kyle, right? Here's my day. And we showed you this on day 1. We showed you this on day 2. I'm showing it to you on day 3 because it's that awesome, right? I wake up in the morning, technician. I don't want him distracted by a whole lot of things. Show me my day. It's great, right? And if I'm looking here at my screen and I see something I don't recognize, I literally, be it on my phone or on my computer, can just jump right into that ticket, right? I can jump right into that ticket, and if it's something that I really don't have a whole lot of information on, right, I can ask to summarize. We've already shown you that. I can ask it for a sentiment. I can ask for all this additional information. In fact, hey, recommend a priority here. Let's just see. This thing says it's on priority 3 medium. Let's just see what the system says here. So it says, hey, this should be priority 2. Oh, great, cool. Kyle, we don't want Kyle thinking a whole lot about these things. So hey, priority 2. Eventually, we'll put that down there right at the bottom if there's an adjustment to be made, but I'm going to go ahead and do it right here in the top. Priority 2, submit. Bob's your uncle. Here's my service tickets. If I run that again, there it is, priority 2. So it's so quick, it's so easy, it's so fast. The beauty of this is really, like, our goal was to make this simple and easy. And hopefully you're seeing that the user experience here is simple and easy, but powerful, right? And you're going to see this is a continued trend, right? Throughout, the next, and Jason doesn't want us talking about things coming, but the things that are coming are just as equally awesome and just as equally cool. I didn't specifically talk about them. I just generically said they're cool, right? All right, Jake, wrap us up here, buddy.
All right, can we just give it up for Kyle for having the courage to do live demos and just, hey, I did really want to know what was going on with those project insights, because I'm sure those are going to be awesome. But hey, I just wanted, first of all, I wanted to thank Kyle, Raghu, and Jeff Bishop, who left us yet again. He must be really busy for walking us through this deep dive. I really appreciate it. So in closing, I know you spent 3 days with us. There's a lot of information that you've learned. But before you head out, before you get into your cars and drive, before you have to get to the airport and fly away, I just wanted you to take the following with you. Please know something that you already know. We know you, we listen to you, and we know the MSP and TSP industry. We've been here for a while. The second thing is the ConnectWise Sidekick platform is built with trust right at the center of the platform, and it is built in a way that enables it to grow in the future, similar to what Jeff and Raghu outlined. The third thing is the ConnectWise Sidekick is built as part of the ASIO platform, and it takes care of every role within your organization, be it John, the owner-operator, to Lisa, the cat herder, right? Or the service manager, or Kyle, the very handsome technician, looks just like our Kyle out here, and it takes care of each and every person. And the final thing that I wanted to say was that even Microsoft, a company as great as Microsoft, required OpenAI as a partner to navigate this amazing transformation that we're in together. So please allow us to be that partner for you as we navigate this together and go into this brilliant future. So thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you for not only coming to IT Nation and making this investment. I hope the ROI in this investment was great, but also for attending this session with us. Be safe and safe travels back home.
Questions?
All right, now we have some time for questions.
Your hand. All right. Hold on here, and then I'm over there.
QR.
Hey, thanks for
one.
all the information. It's awesome. One of the things that you hit on, Raghu, was on the external databases to integrate in there. Is that live where we can feed already external databases, or is that a future coming?
I think extensibility is live for now multiple years. Now we need to, but that being said, all data is not equal. So we definitely can work with you to see that what's the kind of the data you are interested in, to see is that something it's in the our first few months or not. If not, obviously we can work around to see that what is the thoughts. But definitely we are interested to kind of bring in data sources externally in next 3, 6, 12 months, because of the fact that we don't necessarily yet have any data for AI for external data sources right now, well, especially with third-party vendors. We don't have it as of now from any third-party vendors, but we are interested in to bring in. And if you have any ideas or if you have any suggestions for us, definitely we can work with you to see that who might be the the best one for us to get in.
Got a question.
Respectfully, I'm going to complete the thought real fast. Hey, the answer to your question is we can have a conversation, but not completely. It's not something you're going to find inside any of your portals anywhere right this moment. But we can accomplish it. We want to accomplish it. We need to work through the details and figure that out with you.
Question.
Great session. Thank you, guys. A quick question. For those of us that are building our own solutions, we'll be able to connect to Sidekick via API and utilize your models?
Definitely, I think there are aspects of it, like especially if you look at conversational AI. So the short answer is yes, but there's a longer answer for it, right? So based on how you want to do it, let's assume, are you building a bot? How are you going to interact with your own tools? So all that comes into the picture. So if it's purely like, instead of using a Teams, you want to interact that way, absolutely we can look at that and figure out a way to kind of make that happen. It is built as an API first platform. So it's just about to see that based on how you want to use it, we can figure it out a way to make that happen for you. But it is built API first, so it is APIs are available.
Eventually, I'd ask you, at some point, why, right? I understand now because up until this conference it didn't exist, but like at some point you're going to spin your wheels. So maybe you need to be on the AI advisory partner.
We have another question over here.
Go for it, Tony.
Thanks very much for the wonderful presentation. I have a very specific use case question for Sidekick.
Oh, great.
Recommending a priority, things like that, that's great. Subtype item that we saw. We have agreements per offering, but there's a lot of different things to choose from. Does Sidekick have the ability to recommend an offering and recommend an agreement for that offering, I should say, for a ticket?
Absolutely. I think I would say that is definitely possible. Recommend an agreement is something I think we have not shown, but we do have that. But absolutely, even on the recommendation of offering, definitely that's something I think we look at that as a low-hanging fruit. Definitely we could provide that.
Let me also offer this. If you have ideas like that, please email ai@connectwise.com your idea, because that was good. And it's not something.
We have a question over here.
We put it in there, we definitely will. So that's open to anybody. Please don't spam me. Don't spam me. What? Pod has, well, we have agreements, but he's looking for suggested agreements.
Can we put up that slide with the advisory council? People want to take a picture of that.
Yes.
Have people taken a picture of this QR code?
This is also important.
All right. Okay.
All right, who else has got a question? Raise your hand. Speechless. Look at that. Oh, here we go.
Yes, I use AI for just about every picture. Thank you very much. Go for it.
Yes.
So after attending IT Nation for a lot of years now, the one thing it seems like is that with the ASIO platform, you guys will be able to integrate the 100+ vendors that are in the other solutions room out there without having to acquire them any longer.
let me take that question. So I think that maybe that was meant in jest, but I mean, we're always a platform company, right? I mean, it's a platform-centric solutions. We'll continue to build solutions, and we believe in the open ecosystem, right? We want the best and the brightest to proliferate on top of the ConnectWise ecosystem. And look at all the wonderful things that have emerged as a result of this, and that'll continue to be the case. Yes, in terms of the other part of your question, I would say I'll just take that in jest, right? And just look at the solutions pavilion. Look at all the folks that are integrating within the ConnectWise ecosystem. That's what makes us collectively great.
I was going to add along with what Jake said, right? We always will look at buy, build, partner always. Like based on what the problem we are trying to solve, we always will step back and think, is that something we should partner? Is that something we should buy? Is that something we should build? Again, it all depends on multiple facets, like the business side of it in terms of what makes sense, and also the ability for us, right? So sometimes, I mean, every answer is not just build, or every answer is not just buy, because I think something like AI, which is fundamentally gonna transform. I mean, we felt it was gonna make sense for us to kind of build it ground up, really step back and think what we want to do here, how we want to kind of help the MSPs, and how should we approach this problem as a whole, right? So for that reason, we said, you know what, we're going to build the foundational models, but that aside, functional models. But that aside, I think time to time, if we see an opportunities to integrate with something which we are not able to do, absolutely, we're always open for any of the ideas and recommendations and integrations.
And that's what happens when you have smart folks like Kyle, Jeff, and Raghu up on stage. You know, they could keep going forever. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So I wanted to thank each and every one of you once again for showing up here. We really enjoyed this conversation. As Kyle said, let's keep the discussion going. We're just getting started with Sidekick and everything else. So thanks so much.